Will my Social Security benefits be reduced? Let's break it down on this episode of the Hawaii Retirement Show. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Hawaii Retirement Show. Today's episode, we're talking about Social Security benefits being reduced. And Social Security benefits, they can be reduced in a number of different ways, from just claiming early to taxes to the earnings test. And we're going to go through all those right here on this episode. Like we've been doing, there's a Hawaii Retirement Show flow chart that'll be up on the YouTube, and put it up on the website as well for you folks to follow along. I think the best place to start when we're talking Social Security is just with some terminology. And the most important terminology is FRA, full retirement age. And what that's kind of alluding to is when you look at your statements, depending on when you were born, the year in which you were born, you're given a full retirement age to collect Social Security. And as you see on this flow chart here, if you're born 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. Now, your full retirement age means that's at 67, you'll get, per their calculation, the full amount of your Social Security benefit. Now, if you delay, which you can delay until age 70, then you would get an increased benefit. And the earliest you can claim is age 62. So if you claim 62, 63, whatever it might be, prior to your full retirement age, then you're going to get a reduced benefit. And it comes out to close to like 8% a year, as far as like a reduction or a gain, depending on when you're claiming around your full retirement age. And I think the other thing to note here when you're talking about when you're claiming and full retirement age is it's not really calculated on an annual basis. What it really is calculated on a monthly basis. So you get credits, you could say, for each month, right? So if your full retirement age is 67 and you collect at 64 and 3 months in, then you get credit for those three months in addition to, being age 64. So it's done on a monthly basis. I think that's good to know. The other thing that I think, as far as like definitions that we should define, and this is tricky because it's no longer relevant, but it was just recently no longer relevant, is WEP, the windfall elimination provision, and GPO, the government pension offset. Okay. These didn't apply to very many people before they were removed, but even now, they no longer apply to anyone because Biden just recently eliminated the Social Security with the Social Security Fairness Act, WEP and GPO, and it was signed into law on January 5th, 2025. But you're going to hear these things, even though now it is eliminated via the Social Security Fairness Act. And so I think I'll just kind of go through real quick. I went on the SSA.gov, Social Security's website, to get some definitions and some things to share, so at least you understand the two terms, even though now, with Biden signing the Social Security Fairness Act on January 5th, 2025, they no longer apply. But let's go over it anyway. WEP is the windfall elimination provision, and this is from the Social Security website. It is a formula that reduces Social Security benefits for people who receive a pension from work that wasn't covered by Social Security. WEP was designed to prevent workers from receiving higher Social Security benefits than they would have if they were low-wage earners for the entire career. Okay, so the main thing to understand there is that you're part of a non-covered pension. A non-covered pension is a pension paid by an employer who didn't withhold Social Security taxes from the employee's salary, right? So you weren't paying into the system, okay? And it most commonly affects government workers, WEP. Now, GPO, the government pension offset, was a federal law that reduced Social Security benefits for spouses and widows of people who receive government pensions that weren't covered by Social Security. So this is just kind of for spouses and widows of people with federal pensions that weren't covered by Social Security. So the main thing here is if you have a pension and you weren't paying into Social Security, there was this WEP and GPO that would be calculated to reduce your benefits. Because it's kind of, I mean, rightfully so. In a lot of cases, it's not really fair if you're not paying into the system the full amount, then your benefit should be reduced. Now, right or wrong, I'm not passing any judgment. I don't know enough about it to know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but the Social Security Fairness Act, signed into law on January 5th of 2025, is eliminated those, I guess you could say, reductions or penalties for WEP and GPO. So that's kind of good. You're going to hear those things, and Social Security and things like that. There's a lot of different rules that just can get terribly complicated and nuanced with various situations. And I kind of like that WEP and GPO is now eliminated only because it simplifies things. I don't know. I'm not saying it's good or bad for the government budget and Social Security's financial health, but at least it simplifies things because Social Security tends to be very complicated and nuanced in a number of different situations. Okay, so we're going to do 3 standalone episodes for this, but just something to touch on. With Social Security, there is spousal benefits, there are survivor benefits, and there are divorced spousal benefits, right? I mean, divorced spousal benefits kind of fall under spousal benefits, but you can claim on a spouse's record as long as you meet the criteria. So those 3 areas we'll do standalone episodes. I'm not going to dive in too deep there. Moving along, looking at this flow chart, I think the next area we should look at is the earnings test. And the earnings test comes into play if you collect Social Security, but you're still working. Okay. And the idea is you're kind of double dipping and they want to penalize you a little bit for doing such, or they kind of look at it as, well, you don't need the full amount because you're also working. And so we're gonna reduce your benefit. Now, once you reach your full retirement age, so let's say you stop the work, you don't claim until you reach 67 because you were born after 1960. Once you turn 67, and this means you can't claim 66 and 11 months. Once you reach that 67, the full retirement age, then this earnings test goes away. Okay, and you can work, you can make as much as you want, and they're not going to reduce your benefit because of the earnings test. Okay, so there's 2 ways to look at the earnings test. One is in the year you reach your full retirement age, and the other is just if you're below the year under full retirement age. So if you're under full retirement age, let's say you claim at 64, you're under your full retirement age. If you earn above $23,400, then $1 in benefits will be withheld for every $2 of earnings. Okay, above that threshold. So anything above that, they're going to withhold $1 for every $2 of earnings above 23,400. That's if you claim before your full retirement age. Now, in the year of your full retirement age, there's a different calculation. So let's say, you turn 67 in, let's say, June. Okay. But you claim it in January of the year, right? So you're not quite 67 yet. You're 66 and whatever it is, 6 months, right? For those 6 months, so this only applies to in the year you reach your full retirement age. Those 6 months prior to you actually reaching full retirement age. So like I said, you claim in January, but you don't turn 67 until June, July, there's that 6 months there. Then the calculation just differs by $1, right? So $1 in benefits is withheld for every $3 in earnings. And then the threshold is boosted up to $62,160. Okay? So, clear as mud. Just think in the year you reach your full retirement age, if you're working, they raise up the floor for the earnings test to see when they're going to reduce your benefit. And then if you pass that, it's $1 for every $3. Whereas if you claim it before the year you turn you reach your full retirement age, it's $1 for every $2. So they kind of give you a break if you claim in the year you will turn that full retirement age, that's 67, but you're subject to the earnings test in those months prior to you actually reaching it, right? Because again, we're looking at this in months, even though it's real easy to look at your statement and look at the years and say this is all done on an annual basis. We're looking at it in months. So just know there is an earnings test. There's a threshold as far as earnings. Anything above that, they're going to withhold $1 for every $2 in earnings. Or if you're in the year you will turn your full retirement age, it's $1 for every $3. Once you reach your full retirement age, once you turn 67, or if you were born earlier, whatever it is, 66 and 8 months, once you reach whatever they determine your full retirement age, that earnings test goes away. So one thing I haven't mentioned yet that is critical to this discussion is when it comes to the earnings test, that the benefits that are being withheld, they're not lost, right? Your Social Security is being reduced, but that money that is being withheld, if you're over the earnings test before your full retirement age, that money will be added back to your benefit and permanently increase your monthly benefit when you reach that full retirement age. So it's important to know with the earnings test, you're not losing this money, but it is being withheld. Your benefit is being reduced until you reach your full retirement age, in which the money that was being withheld, the benefits being withheld, will be put back in and recalculated into your monthly benefit. So you don't lose them per se. So it's important to understand there. Okay. So let's move on to taxes. Okay. And this is often a misunderstood area of Social Security. And what we're talking about here, we're talking federal taxes. In Hawaii, there is no tax on Social Security. That can vary by state to state. Some states may tax Social Security. I'm not familiar with all the different states out there, but Hawaii does not tax your Social Security on the state level. So we're talking federal Social Security taxes here, and again, we're going into kind of the verbiage and the definitions that you should be familiar with. And when it comes to Social Security being taxed, it's provisional income, or sometimes called combined income. I think more commonly called combined income, but some people call it provisional income. And this income is used to determine how much of your Social Security benefit will be taxed. Okay, so provisional income is your modified adjusted gross income plus 50% of your Social Security benefit. So your modified adjusted gross income for this purpose is your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest. Okay, so your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest, and then plus 50%, half of your Social Security benefit. So you got to figure out what that number is. And this will help determine with the brackets of how much of your Social Security might be taxed. So once you have that number, your provisional income, your combined income number, then there's 3 different brackets you could say. And this is all on a moving scale. It's not definitive because there's a calculation beyond this, which is more than I want to get into about how much they actually determine will be taxed. But for our purposes here, I think keeping it simple so we understand is you take this provisional income or combined income, I'm going to keep calling it provisional income. And if you're single and your provisional income is under $25,000, or if you're married filing jointly and your provisional income is under $32,000, then 0% of your Social Security will be taxed. Okay, that's the first bracket. That's the first threshold. So if your combined income, provisional income is above that, and it's between 25,000 and 34,000 for a single, which is a small window, right? A $10,000 window, or married filing jointly 32,000 to 44,000, then up to 50% of your Social Security will be taxed. Now it's up to, because depending on where you fall in that range, there's a calculation to figure how much will actually be taxed. Now, I think for most people, if you're listening to the show and you did a good job of saving throughout retirement and you got your financial ducks in a row, most people are going to be in this last bracket, and that is if you're over 34,000 single, or your provisional income is over 44,000 for married filing jointly, then up to 85% of your Social Security will be taxed. So again, there's another formula that goes into this that determine how much, depending on how far over you are, of your Social Security will be taxed, but up to 85%. That we know for certain, right? No more than 85% of your Social Security will be taxed. Okay. So a lot to understand. Just figure out your provisional income, your combined income, and then there's those brackets to determine, if 0% will be taxed, if up to 50% will be taxed, and then if you're over that last threshold, up to 85% of your Social Security will be taxed federally. And like I said, I think most of our listeners, you'll probably be in that 85% of Social Security will be taxed. And again, state level, Hawaii does not tax your Social Security. So we went over a lot there. That's just a few of the possibilities of where you're going to see your Social Security benefits be reduced. I think it's a great idea to check in on those statements, especially if you're approaching those ages of when you're going to start making your strategy for when you're going to turn on your Social Security. And I think even if you're not close to that age, it's a good idea every once in a while, and especially if you haven't done it yet, log on to the ssa.gov website, log into your account, just take a look around, make sure everything looks okay real quickly. There have been stories of people's accounts being hacked in the past. I don't think it's likely, but take 5-10 minutes, get on there, log on, make sure everything looks good once in a while, every few years, and I think you'll be in good shape. All right, that wraps it up for this one. If there's anything in particular you'd like me to talk about on the show going forward, email it over to aloha@hawaiiretirementshow.com, and we'll catch everyone on the next one.
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration.